Hey guys, and welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm just going to be covering everything that you need to know about Maui and how to get the best out of him. So he is a tank guardian, so he is going to be taking the brunt of the damage, which Maui can do well, which while also helping his allies become more tanky. So without any further delay, let's just get on to his core ability. Maui can gain defense buffs in two ways. The first way is that he gains a defense buff for every buff his enemies gain. So essentially, Maui thrives against enemies who gain a lot of buffs like Hercules and Minnie. The maximum stack is 10, so when enemies gain more than 10 buffs, Maui will cap out at 10 defense buffs. The second method in which Maui can gain buffs is through his heavy attack. Maui has a 50% chance of gaining a single defense buff for every heavy attack. This makes Maui more reliable in circumstances where enemies are not gaining as many buffs, so you may want to switch to Maui and throw some heavies to gain some more defense buffs, but it is important to think that the AI is more likely to throw heavy attacks, so you don't really need to switch to Maui, but it would be helpful. Now onto Maui's special ability. It deals 400% damage and it knocks down the enemies. This is great because it is quite a large area, which means that he's able to counter many specials at once, and he's great against swarms of Titanborn, which can be very annoying. But most importantly, Maui's special is how he turns the defense buffs into pure armor. 3% for every defense buff. So if Maui has 10 defense buffs, he gives each of his allies 30% armor. Keep in mind this is only to his allies, so from Maui's special, Maui gains no armor. But we'll get to how he gains armor later on when we go through his talents. And before we get to his talents, let's just go through his signature ability. This ability is unlocked at 4 stars, so if your Maui is 3 stars or lower, he will not have this ability. Maui's special has a chance to stun. This chance becomes guaranteed once it reaches level 100, which could have its uses, but as his special already knocks out enemies, I wouldn't worry about trying to max it out. But the maximum stacks that Maui can have from his core ability is now increased from 10 to 15, so now Maui can give a maximum of 45% armor to each of his allies when he is at 15 defense buffs, which is amazing. So now let's just move on to his talents. So when it comes to Maui's talents, I think the most important talent is his elite talent. So let me just equip that right now. So fighting the wing beast. Each time Maui gains a defense buff from his core ability, he also gains 3.34% armor. So essentially, this is how Maui gains his armor. He does not gain it when he activates his special ability, but he gets it straight away as soon as the enemy gains a buff, which is or where you use your heavy attack and gain a defense buff, which is great. The second most important talent, in my opinion, is the mighty Tamtoa, or whatever that is. Maui's special ability now grants an additional 4.14% armor to his allies when cast. If you didn't already know, Maui was recently nerfed in some ways, so this talent is even more important because his amount of armor he would get from his special ability was significantly reduced, so you need to use this talent now even more so than before. Now the third talent is up for debate. You could possibly use Gracious Gifts, but I prefer Battling the Volcano because it's just a lot more helpful. Because it could be great against minis because that's how she gains her buffs, and also it's just very good when you're pairing against hero because Maui then does a massive amount of damage. But now let's just move on to some gameplay. So for this gameplay, I'm going to be bringing Maui specifically in an encounter where there is a mini, just to show how he does when there is a lot of buffs. So it doesn't really matter who we bring along, but I'll just bring in Aladdin. Actually, no, let me just bring in someone like Rapunzel and a hero, and I'll bring in Maui, of course. And let's see how much armor he gives our allies. Alright, this is a single encounter, but there are going to be a lot of mini, if I remember correctly. We got a chromosome for armor. Might just want to pop that up straight away. With some added protection. Okay, let's go. Okay. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2. There we go. There's 5. Look at that armor. As you can see, Maui is gaining armor. I'm going to switch to Maui just because he isn't gaining enough defense buffs. So as you can see, as I use my heavy attacks, it's so much easier to get it. And use my special even though it attacks no one, just to protect my allies. And let's use another heavy attack. Oops. Playing very badly today. Okay, another heavy attack. But it was a pretty easy fight. But yeah, that's what you want to do when you're using Maui. You want to make sure you're gaining as many defense buffs as you can. So you may want to switch with. So now let's just quickly try out an encounter. Let's try 4-8, I believe. Let's see who the fights against. Alright, we're against the Goofy. There should not be many buffs. Alright, let's just bring in the same team. Okay, so in this encounter there isn't going to be any minis, so there isn't going to be many buffs. So essentially what you want to do is you want to make sure that you switch over to Maui and just start those heavy attacks. You want a heavy counter, and as you can see, as I'm getting those defense buffs, I'm getting attack buffs, but I'm also getting armor just straight away. But if I use my special now, both Rapunzel and Hero will gain that armor. I'll just click any for now. Okay, so Maui may work well in a double tank team where you control him, just because of that attack buff, especially with Hero, because those attack buffs are so much more potent. Oh, I should not be doing that. Alright, so let's just go to Frank. Heavy, countering, 2.6k. It looks like my Rapunzel's getting low, so let me just get out of that and then protect her. Perfect. Can't use heavies against Goofy just because he's a boss. Get some armor here. Heavy attack, guard defense buff. Just hit that Goofy. There we go, we got 5 buffs. Should protect our allies for a bit. And there you go. That's essentially what you want to do with Maui. But thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.